Study here on Earth, not just visit? Father was audibly and visibly surprised at that. Do they consider her such a prodigy? Well, she is pretty damn smart, Serena said, rubbing the top of my brain case with her knuckles, in what I interpreted as a gesture of fondness. I've looked over her transcripts and she's good enough to keep up with the best, but even if she was dead average or just plain stupid, I suspect they'd still make the offer. In the latter case, it would be more a situation of behavioralists studying her, while seeing how much Earth education she can take on. But as it is, the offers are entirely genuine. Some of these people would give any two limbs and the vital organ of your choice for the opportunity to say they had a bubbler attending their classes. At first I thought Serena was making a joke about how eager these people were to have me study with them, but a closer look at her expression did not reveal a smile. That was definitely something to think about. While it would be good for Earth-Phas-Reap relations, I am concerned for her safety. Father took 2 of my tentacles in his. It is relatively easy to ensure multiple backups for our well-being in the case of a random equipment failure over the course of a short visit. To maintain that sort of vigilance and keep Thwicca alive over the course of a full Earth solar orbit, while allowing her complete freedom of movement, would require a vastly higher investment of resources and time. I would be willing to abide by any and all safety regulations that were laid down for me, I offered. The chance to examine this sheer abundance of high-temperature materials in real time, with just my suit between my tentacles and the object of my study, was extremely tempting. The leaves on the trees we were passing by, for instance, I wanted to look at them up close and figure out how they worked. Well, just spitballing here, we could require that they set up a dedicated refrigerated dorm room for you. Serena chuckled. With the hybrid tech we've got access to now, a high-end power plant just to keep that as cold as you need it wouldn't be all that hard to put together. The cost might make their eyes bulge a little. But if they're bound and determined to have you study with them, it's their choice. Father intertwined his free tentacles in a gesture of agreement. With backups, of course, and backups of backups. In addition, I have not forgotten the fact that there are people on Earth who would hurt or kill her just for being different. So, we have to not only plan for accidents but also deliberate incidents. Serena's expression indicated that she had also not forgotten her own words. Unfortunately, some humans are more like the Tannarak than bubblers. We've got a pretty bleak history of doing a lot of nasty stuff to each other, and it's not all over and done with yet. She put her arm around me and gave me a brief hug. Don't get me wrong, kiddo. I like you and your dad a whole lot. Everyone on board the jovial diver was utterly thrilled when we managed to open lines of communication with the distant knowledge. The majority of humans you'll ever meet are totally on board with the whole bubbler-human partnership. It's just that there's always a few idiots who insist on trying to spoil it for the rest. She sighed, sadly, if I were any judge. Anyway, I am still willing to make the attempt, I said. Perhaps if they see me doing the normal things that human students do, they will be less likely to see me as something to be hated. Maybe. Serena did not sound overly confident at the idea. I mean, don't get me wrong. You're cute as hell, and I'm pretty sure there'll be plushies of you making the rounds in the very near future. If there was a contest for alien species we most want to cuddle, you guys would win at tentacles down. You'd have a lot more trouble winning over hearts and minds if you were 8 feet tall with claws and fangs, just saying. But with most people you've already won the fight. There's very few who are on the fence about how they feel. I had heard about the plushies of Father from Serena herself. During one of our video conversations, she had gleefully shown it to us, to Father's quiet horror and Mother's distinct amusement. I had initially shared Mother's feelings on the subject, but now there was the chance I would have one made of me. I was not sure how I felt. Would humans see me as an inanimate figurine to be manipulated as they saw fit? Should that be the case, they would very quickly learn otherwise. If not myself, who? I asked. There is always somebody who must be first, and being the first to do anything always holds inherent dangers. I do not know anyone else of my generation who has spent as much time around humans, or rather, a human, as myself. I will admit I do not know your customs and idiosyncrasies as perfectly as I might, but misunderstandings are far less likely to happen with me than with others. Father twined his tentacles together again. While I'm still not entirely in favor of this idea, she does have a distinct point, Serena. The idea of having cross-species student exchange has been raised, And if I've learned anything about humans, the wilder and crazier the idea, the more likely somebody's going to say, "Why the hell not?" and go ahead with it. And if anyone's going to get it right, it's Thwicca. Tell me I'm wrong. At that moment, the transport came to a halt. "You're not wrong, Saduk." Serena gave me a serious look. "Okay, kiddo. We've got to go and do the ceremony now, but I want you to think hard about if you really want to do this. Because if you do, it's going to mean a huge upheaval to a lot of things. Got it?" "I understand," I managed. "I will consider it carefully." We climbed out of the transport, and the security humans, they must have had transports of their own, fell into line on either side of us. I looked with interest at their assault rifles. Even at the temperatures we were under now, they were solid and showed no signs of melting or combusting. Privately, I resolved to watch the process of how they formed such intractable materials into useful shapes. When we reached the stage, 2 of the security force stayed with me while the rest moved to take up positions around it. Father and Serena climbed up onto the stage, which was draped with brightly colored cloth. I thought I recognized the national banner of the United States, reds and blues and angular white polygons anyway. Another human moved to stand beside me. One of the security people said something, but the human showed him a small rectangular object, and the security person nodded and moved away. I looked up at the newcomer warily. "Hello, I am Thwicca." "Hello, Thwicca." This human was an older female, if I were reading the body cues correctly. She smiled and crouched down before me. "I'm Commodore Lorimar. I've known your father for a long time, ever since the jovial diver encountered the distant knowledge in Jupiter orbit. It's very good to meet you at last." "Oh, hello. It is good to meet you as well." I knew Commodore Lorimar's name, but I had only seen an image of her once, and that was a long time ago. "Thank you for being an exemplary commander for Lieutenant Commander Hernandez. She has many good things to say about you." I offered my upper right tentacle for a human-style handshake. Her smile became wider as she shook it. "Well, the lieutenant has distinguished herself several times over, so it's not all my doing." Getting up, she moved to stand alongside me. We watched as humans I assumed to be important made speeches which held many words but did not say much. Then medals, made of a multicolored metallic material that I very much wanted to examine, were attached to Father's and Serena's respective outerwear. A patch had been added to Father's heat suit to allow it to be affixed there. More speeches were made. Then the watching humans applauded by slapping their hands together. I was learning many human customs today. Father and Serena rejoined us as the other humans began to disperse. I went to him for a hug while Serena faced Commodore Lorimar. "Ma'am," Serena said, and made the respectful arm gesture I understood to be a salute. "Lieutenant Commander Hernandez." Commodore Lorimar returned the salute. "I'm pleased to see you've recovered from your injuries, and you too, Saduk." "Well, recovered and replaced," Father replied with a hint of amusement. "I actually like these prosthetics your scientist helped us make. The tactile sensitivity is very close to my natural tentacles, and I can literally touch molten lava with them." "Well, that's good to hear." Commodore Lorimar gestured toward me. "It was a pleasure to meet your daughter. She seems very bright." "Yes, ma'am," agreed Serena. "We were actually talking about the concept of her coming here to study for a year. Or at least, I'm reasonably certain she's going to have the offer made to her." Commodore Lorimar raised her eyebrows. "Well, that should pose an interesting challenge for our engineers. Of course, that would require for Thwicca to be on board with this idea." All eyes, human and otherwise, turned to me. I made my decision. "Yes," I said. "I want to do this."